We met, as Dr. Brill had mentioned, the presentation yesterday at 7 o'clock of the new school project to the boards of selectmen and finance. I want to thank everybody that worked so hard to bring it to that point and worked with the presentation last night. There was a lot of long hours put into that, and it's appreciated. I also wanted to shout out to the BHS Honor Society and Key Club for providing the sitting services last night. That was appreciated, and I know a lot of people wouldn't have been able to make it without that. Following the presentation, the email address went live as far as the address that people can mail in and ask questions. That is newschoolproject@brookfieldps.org. We also posted the presentation online. Starting our email Q&As, because all of the questions that people ask will be answered and then posted to the website. We are going through all of the questions asked last night by both board members and by the public. There were some really great questions that were asked, and I think some very valuable answers given. So I've just finished compiling all those. We're fact-checking to make sure it's all there. Now we're going to start the Q&A by posting all of the questions that were asked last night with the corresponding answers as well. Next step forward on this will be the Board of Selectmen meeting on November 5th, where they will be deliberating this new school proposal. Should they approve it, it moves to the Board of Finance. They will start their deliberation in the November 14th meeting, although it made it clear that it's extremely unlikely that they will call a vote that night. They want a lot of time. It's a big project. It's a big commitment. They want a lot of time to digest the material. We're going to be providing them with a lot of the material prior to that, so that will help them in their decision making. Once that is hopefully approved by the Board of Finance, then we would set a referendum date. Preferably early spring. We're looking towards March.
Do you think that the Board of Finance is still confident that we will meet a March referendum date?
Yes. Do you mean, will they approve it? It would have to be approved.
Assuming, yeah.
Yes, it would have to be approved 45 days, I believe, prior to that, because we need that amount of time to do it.
Right.
Yes. Their goal would be by year's end.
Well, so are they planning on calling special meetings, or are they only meeting at their regular meeting times? Because that would only be maybe
That would be November
meetings.
and December,
Yeah.
right. I think it would depend upon where they're at their deliberations, discussions, as to whether they would call a special meeting or not.
And one of the other things that I noted from last night was that there wasn't the full financial plan that was, I think, some of the board members
Exactly.
had wanted. When do you anticipate that to be?
That's going to be in a folder given to every Board of Finance member within the next few days.
Okay, so
They are going to have it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of detail there that we just thought giving it at the, especially with the public there, just wasn't germane to the conversation. They'll have it in their hands probably within the next couple of days, I believe.
And the last thing I wanted to say was a huge thank you, because I think you did an amazing job sort of taking all of our sort of beliefs and passions for this project and sort of compiling it into a really, really easy to understand and sort of something that you can get behind. And I think it was really, really great. And I've heard a lot of really great things about that portion of the meeting, and
Thank
I
you.
thought it was perfect. So.
Thank you. It's easy to do when you believe in it so passionately. I have taken that presentation and we distilled it down into some bulleted narrative points that I think we might distribute to everyone here, even just to have some talking
Yeah.
points to it. So hopefully we should all be sending that out within the next day or
That'd be
so.
great.
And I'd just like to add for the November 5th Board of Selectmen and the November 14th Board of Finance meeting that Colette has talked about, the real, I think the detail, Colette, that Board of Finance members and Board of Selectmen need is the compilation of the town and the school's 10-year capital improvement plans and how that all fits in, where the gives and takes are. So if Center School is closed and if Huckleberry is demolished, what does that look like versus renovate is new, and what does it look over the next 4 years while we're awaiting the project? So a lot of those kind of questions. So the Tecton project, part of it was a building condition study for the school buildings, and so that all those figures and numbers and projecting out bonding and so forth is really important to the decision-making process, and a lot of that's going to be happening over the next couple So just to let everybody know that.
Just had a thought, this is maybe a little premature, but since I agree with Rosa, the way you described it was so succinct, but yet really hit on all the main points. Maybe we could think about, in addition to handouts and flyers, maybe creating like a short little video, sort of like reminding, maybe with you and John, sort of talking about it, or maybe with some of the visuals of the potential school in the background, just like a couple of minutes long, but something that we could use to sort of put on the website or put on the Facebook page, but just as another way for people to hear the talking points, but also maybe see visually. I think people got excited when they saw the pictures of what a new school looks like, and so that in the background with your description, I think sort of sends a nice,
Yes.
motivating, tangible message that we could use.
That'd be great. Thank you.
The feedback I got were there were 3 moments that people remembered the most. One, Colette, was when you spoke, right? You talked about why should we do this. Another were the visuals of the school. It's the first time many people had seen a picture of it, but then they showed some what that learning environment might look like, right? And you can get very excited about that. And the third was actually right at the beginning of the presentation. I had 4 people come to see me. They said, I didn't realize it was 80 years and 60 years old. Right, and that's the fundamental reason, that you're dealing with schools of that age. They were built in a different age,
Exactly.
right? And so this is an opportunity for our town. But those were the 3 things that people heard the most, I think, out of that thing. And then I had a couple people come up to me and they said 78 million. Of course, they only registered on the number, but it's an investment. I mean, and they have to think of it that way. So.
Yeah, a long-term investment.
It's an investment.
A long-term investment. So.
And sort of going back to a little bit about, I think maybe Dr. Brill had said something about repurposing Center School and what we're going to potentially do with that. I think that, again, might be a stopping point for some people, just having a building that we still have to heat and still technically have to maintain and stuff. So I don't know at what point in this process or what committee is responsible for doing it, but somebody should at some point start pulling in people and saying, like, listen, let's say this passes at referendum. What are we going to do with this space? And kind of getting at least some rough numbers in terms of what is it going to cost to just maintain just bare bones. Could central office potentially put some office space in there if it's needed? So we have to come up with some kind of plan to have, because I don't think anybody wants Center to be torn down.
No.
But we got to have some kind of plan for it. Even
Yeah,
if it's,
it won't get through the Board of Finance without a stronger statement on
right.
that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know who's responsible for doing that,
we should
but
on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do have the figure as to what it will cost to maintain Center School, just keeping it idle until we determine. That number we've set as $30,000, which we actually deducted from our energy efficiency last night when we gave that number.
Right.
We conservatively added $20,000 to that to make up for any contingencies that may happen, any unexpected repairs or something like that. So we made it $50,000 that we deducted from our energy savings, which is why we only reported $200,000 as energy savings. But yes, and that question was asked last night too, is
Yeah.
what do we do with it, and is that money included in it? And it's hard to include a budget if you don't know what it's going to be repurposed for.
right.
But I agree with your point. At some time along the span, we do have to get a little bit more insight or maybe thought as to what's going to happen with that.
We have to at least know, like, if any groups are even interested
Right.
in using the space.
Right.
And that's what I think people
If
need.
it passes a referendum, the school will be turned over to the town, so it will ultimately be the town's decision
Yeah.
as to what happens. But I agree that there needs to be some insight into that.
Mhm.
I have had some, sorry, Deb, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to sort of piggyback on what Jen talked about regarding maybe producing a video. I think that what we need to get us through to the referendum is sort of a comprehensive communication strategy that shows how we're going to deliver information to residents, whether it's through town meetings, our website, our Facebook page, mailings, videos. And I feel like you know, saying, yes, we're putting the presentation on the website is sort of a little passive, like people have to go and find it. And I don't think, I mean, we see people don't come out to meetings. So I think to put the onus on them to go digging to find a presentation or to go through our past presentations is making a big assumption that people will take the time to do that. So I'm thinking of something like maybe once a week or every other week we put something on our Facebook page, like an interesting fact or a tidbit about the new school project. Did you know that, you know, we're making a 5th grade academy? Did you know that we're designing an early learning center? Did you know that the school will be set up with distinct neighborhoods so that kids don't have to cross through another neighborhood? Things like that. I mean, sort of like high level, important facts that will get people excited and will keep them excited from now till the referendum, so that they're
Unpack all the details.
unpack all the details so that they don't have to go digging and sifting through past presentations and lots of data and meeting minutes and things that we're very close to, but the community might not be.
I think that's a good idea.
I
Thank you.
think that's good, so it's really digestible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You want to share the information in a way that's accessible, digestible. People could share that with others. They can understand it.
And they can share it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of social media. They read something and they say, look at this, they're going to have a 5th grade academy and they're going to have, you know, an enclosed courtyard with whatever.
No, I think that's a really
It's a
great
really
idea.
good idea.
I also think you can't just rely on social media either. There's a lot of people who don't do that. So I'm thinking, you know, as part of a comprehensive is how do you get something in the delis and in
Yep.
the Paneras and in the ShopRite, you know, you work with places where people go so that they know some basic information on a poster, right? Or that size that they can then say, where do you go for more information? And build excitement, right? There's, you know, and are we going to go out as 1, 2, 3 of us at a time and offer to go meet with community groups, right?
Yep.
Either neighborhood groups or organizations or like. I don't sense we're organized on all of that yet. We're so all focused on this meeting that was going on. This is the next big turn of the crank.
Absolutely. That's the next step.
And it's got to be in parallel to the Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen, not after.
Right.
Agreed.
So.
Now, should that development of the communication plan be the responsibility of one of our subcommittees, or should we do that together? I think we should sort of determine where that might happen, and then we can all figure out how we can participate.
Is it even a Board of Ed job, or is it a municipal building job? That's an interesting question.
Technically, it's the MBC Ad Hoc Committee, and we have been working on the communication plan, but we certainly have the direction that we can go forward with that. And so I think things like this are valuable.
Yeah,
We can
I'd love to
it and
take
go
a
from
role. I'd
that.
love to have a role in it.
Yes.
Right? And be out talking to people.
Yeah.
So.
And I think we need as many people out talking as we can. So, yeah, we'll pull something together, pull everyone in. I'm not sure if the communications subcommittee has discussed it all, but love to have those ideas as well, and we'll go forward from there. And maybe we can present it to the board and see if the board has any other ideas or suggestions that can go forward with it.
And then the obvious question that goes along with that is, who pays for those communications? How do we create a video and do mailings and create posters and?
The mailings will come from the town. We've discussed that. It'll be, it can be set up from mainly the ad hoc committee, approved by all of the boards. It would go out obviously after the Board of Finance has approved it, so we have a definite referendum date that we can do it. We have to be very, very careful with that mailing, because it cannot suggest how someone should vote during the referendum at all. We have to just lay out the facts. It has to be cleared by council and everything else, because if you do any suggestions of vote, then you really run into issues.
But you're referring to that one piece of mail that
Right.
goes out and informs people of
Right.
the date.
exactly.
Well, it can do more
No,
than
no,
just
it can
inform
inform.
the date.
It
It can
can do
inform
facts.
about the project too.
You can have 2 pages of facts. We can say, what does the building going to look like? How does it affect the taxpayers? What is the date? We could even just put everything that we had in the presentation. What are the advantages of the new school proposal? We just can't say, this is why you should vote for it. We can just put out the facts and that's it.
Mhm.
So it's a fine line, we'll run it through council, but it's done because it's done all the time.
But, I mean, it's that one mailing.
That's
It's
one
not
mailing.
like 3 or 4 mailings before that.
Right, then you start getting into a cost implication. So we'll have to examine everything. Yes.
As far as the video goes, we have facilities in-house to make the video. So there wouldn't be any huge cost to doing that.
Would there be any students interested in?
There might be, but
Producing.
but there is a huge time commitment.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody have ever been in any kind of video production, but a 2-minute video can take days to make. You just need to understand that it isn't what you see is not what goes on behind the scenes, and for every minute we spend on this project, which is critically important, I, as administration, am not spending running the district and the other things we need to do. So this is a huge undertaking, and to alleviate people from feeling they had to dig for information, a very simple message was sent out to everyone on our open community list today for school message, which had the actual video that was live streamed last night of the presentation itself, the Facebook and the website and everything on there. And on the website and the Facebook page for this project, everything from 2 years ago when we first started this project is archived there. So anybody who's really interested could dig around. But in terms of the surface things that have just recently happened, they're right there for everybody to just click on. They have them there. So I just want everybody to know that. But Colette and I are more than happy to pursue this for sure. There's no doubt about that in that regard, and bring along anybody who's very interested in putting flyers together and having meetings and getting the word out. Meetings sitting at the library. As a matter of fact, Thursday I'm scheduled. We haven't advertised this yet because people can't take that many emails and things that come out on them either. We have to be cognizant of that. I'll be at Panera with Dr. Sapala next Thursday morning, not only to talk about learning and general things that are going on here, part of public office hours, but we'll invite people if they want to talk about the building project and what's going on. So we'll be there. I'll try not to eat too much and I'll watch my calories. So, yeah.
Those that subscribe to the townwide email also got the presentation sent to them today as well, which I think is helpful for
Yeah.
those that maybe are not within the school district.
And then for those not within the school district, we get it out to Ellen Melville, Social Services, and Mr. Dunn, and they post it on the town website and everywhere else as best we can. So we do get it out there.
So just to be clear, because I'm still a little confused, so the NBC is going to handle a larger communication strategy, or should we have a parallel one for the Board of Ed in terms of our communication?
My assumption is that it will be handled with the NBC Ad Hoc Committee, but I certainly think we need to take suggestions here and perhaps even duck some of it into this. It's a good one to flesh out. It's a good one to determine. I think we would have a better path forward in the next week or two. Because I think we can do a lot from this point as a board.
I will say, when we did the high school edition, there were at least 3 to 5 mailings. Right? So don't underestimate the amount of communication we need to do.
Mhm.
So, now we did go
That's good
through
to know.
2 referendums on that project. So that was part of why there were a lot of mailings, but but it is, lesson learned, right? This is the biggest investment the town will make in forever, right?
Yep.
We've never made an investment this large in our history, and probably won't make something this large in our foreseeable future. So this is a big deal for a town like this. And it's a great deal for a town like this, in the big scheme of things, but there's going to be a lot of people who are going to look at it and say, that's a lot of money, and I just got to make sure I'm really comfortable with it. And so it's important to communicate. So in every way we can.
Every way we can. I agree.
So I don't know if the policy communications is kind of tacked onto policy committee because we thought communications part would be somewhat small. Now the policy part's pretty big, and it looks like communication part is getting kind of big. But if you guys want to send stuff my way, and we can talk about it at our next communications meeting next month, and then I can compile those and kind of bring them here so that at this point in the meeting next time, we can kind of go through them a little bit. I don't know if that's what you guys want to do. Not just like ideas, but like a little legwork behind it. But yeah, so I don't know if that's something that you guys want to do.
So like send ideas, suggestions, so you can
Yeah,
flesh them out?
so that eventually I think the idea would be to come up with our communication strategy for this board. So, and how that can sort of dovetail into
The broader one.
PMBCs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So if you
I
guys
think
wanna
that's
do that.
important.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.